Hi, welcome to AmmoSmith.com. Today we're going to take you on a different course here. We're going to take 3/8 inch seamless brass tubing that you can get at a hobby store. And we're going to show you how to make a jacketed hollow point with it. We're going to actually turn these sticks of tubing that we have here into jackets. We're going to fill them with a lead core, and eventually what we're going to end up with at the end of the day is a jacketed hollow point for either the 40 Smith & Wesson 10mm or the 3840 Winchester centerfire. I'm loading them for my 10mm. What we're going to be using is we're going to be using the C&H dies for this. They're 40 caliber dies. I also have a set of the 9mm dies, which is really handy because their coarse wage die is great for making cores for the 40 caliber. And we're going to end up cutting the tubing down. This is just a random piece of tubing that we have left over from another stick that I used. We're going to cut them, we're going to trim them, we're going to close the bottoms of it off in order to form the base, which we see here. And we can also use a gas check here to completely seal the base and make a really nice jacketed hollow point. These are really precise. They weigh within a grain of each other. So when you're talking a bullet of 150 grains, we're talking less than 1% weight variation. And at handgun velocities and distances, we really don't care. The nice thing about using this tubing here is we don't have to anneal it, so we don't have to use any high heat to do this. We're also going to use, maybe, not for certain yet, the Lee 9mm die set for loading ammunition, because we want to use their expanding die in order to flare the mouth of the jacket. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to clear out the bench. I'm going to show you how we're going to start out. And we're going to start by cutting the tubing to length, and then we're going to trim it, square it off, and make it the exact length we want. And some of the actual measuring tools you're going to need a set of calipers. They only need to be graduated to within 1/1000 of an inch. And you're going to need a scale so you can weigh your core in your jacket. And if you use the gas check, you weigh that too in order to get the overall weight of the bullet. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, what I'm going to be using to cut my tubing is a cheap Harbor Freight tubing saw, mini chop saw, what do you want to call this thing? And here's the tubing. The little vise on here isn't ideal, but it works. And what I want to show you, I'm probably going to take a close-up of this because this side of the vise jaw is a little on the loose side and moves either way like this. We're going to use this stationary end here to get our measurement. And the way we do that is we're going to use this end of our caliper to make our measurement. And it's going to have a little bit, there's going to be a little bit of a gap between the end of this jaw vise here and where the blade is. And once you know where that is, you can go ahead and make a pretty decent measurement. So what I have found for the 145 gram bullets that I've been making for the 10mm, these are a little bit on the light side for me, but I like them because it gives me the opportunity to either make the bullets heavier or lighter. And we're eventually going to make not in this part of the series, but once we get to the point of actual field testing, we'll make some partitions. So on this particular saw here, I want to make a measurement of 0.800 inches off of this end right here. And that will give me a jacket, once it's trimmed, about 0.650 inches in length. And that's exactly what we need. So let me go ahead and cut a couple of these. Make sure this thing's all nice and steady in here. And before we get these jackets this tubing crushed in here, there's a little groove that allows us to slide a little bit. has a little bit of slop in it. I'm going to eventually take this out of here somehow. Haven't decided how I'm going to do that yet. But when we're done cutting these, we're going to put them on my case trimmer. And I'm using an old RCBS case trimmer. So let's go ahead and get this going here. I'm going to make some jackets. And then, so I measure this like such. What I'm doing is I'm taking the tubing like this. And then I'm pushing this up until it stops. Then I tighten it down, then I cut it. So this is going to be a little bit noisy. Alright, so now we got the basic jacket cut. This is a jacket blank. Yeah. We're going to do 5. I'm not going to make you suffer through making 100 of these things. So now that we got them cut, we need to trim them. So I'm going to move this out of the way. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to cut them to length. I already got my tool set up for it. And I'm going to go ahead and stop the camera, change the angle on it a little bit, and show you what I'm using and why I'm using it. Okay, here's one of the tools I had to make. I took an old RCBS case trimmer here that I have that uses a collet type of case retention system. I hooked it up to my DeWalt drill. I got it all set up, and what you do, and I'm going to show you how I adjust this to get the length I want. Get this, get on here, stay on here. The drill makes this a lot heavier than it needs to be. Yeah, there. So what I did was, what we're going to need to do is we need to clean up these ends just a little bit. And you want to get the, on one side you want to get the heavy burrs off, right? Off the outside so it'll grip. And then you're going to deburr the inside of it a little bit too. And what this does, this makes jacket trimming really, really fast. So this fits in here like that. Tighten it down. I have the pilot that I need. Now I got this is the 18-volt DeWalt drill. And what I did was, originally I used the handle on here to trim this to the length I wanted for the overall length of the jacket. Then I left the jacket in here. So I pushed the cutter end up, then I chucked my drill on it. So it's exact length where I want it. And instead of cranking it by hand, which takes forever, I just go like this. I'm going to change the angle of this so you can see how fast this goes. Okay, keep your eye on this jacket because this thing's going to fly. You want to keep it a little tight, not super tight. If you don't keep this tight enough, what's going to happen is the jacket's going to spin and it's going to mar the outside of it. Not a big deal, but you know, the less damage to the jacket, the better, right? So here we go. One trimmed. Remember, we do the outside of the case or the jacket on one end so it'll fit square. Inside the collet, Make sure it's square. Also loosen it a little bit like that and push on it. You know, push it together and then tighten it. Like that. Side jacket done. And we keep doing this until we have all our jackets trimmed to the length we want. And you might want to be careful with these because on the saw it leaves a nice sharp little burr on it. And that little burr can get you. It's a little finger shark. Here we go. So that works. And I'm going to do this for the other 5 jackets, or the rest of these jackets, to produce the 5 that we need. Then we're going to go ahead and start closing the bases up on them. Okay, it makes a little bit of a mess. You know, you got tailings everywhere. So now that we got these trimmed, we need to deburr inside and outside on both ends. So they're nice and clean, so there's no obstructions or strange pressure on one side of the jacket or the other. And once we do that, we're going to measure them. Make sure they're exact. If they're within 2 1/1000ths of an inch, it's no big deal. This is plenty accurate. Now I found that doing this, even though it takes a long time to make, I was starting to feel a little bad there for a while because I was using my 9mm brass supply to make 40 caliber jackets. And as you know, with brass, and with the ammunition shortages we got, I want to use as little of that as I possibly can. And this tubing is a little on the expensive side because I'm getting it full retail, but I found it online fairly cheap. And the only thing about the hobby store up near where I live is they only have these in like 1 foot lengths. So I'm going to get some 3 foot lengths of this stuff. And I'm going to pre-make several thousand jackets. Alright, let's go ahead and measure these. Unlock this here. Okay. Okay. And a little shorter this time. No biggie. Okay. Okay, they're real close to one another, as you can see. So, now we start the jacket forming process. Jacket forming process is real simple. It takes a little bit of work and patience, but you're actually making good jacketed bullets with these. So we're going to start with the dies. I'm going to show you what we need to do with them.